You don't need a $100 bottle to drink like you know what you're doing.
Exactly. You don't need allocation. You don't need a hookup at the liquor store. You definitely don't need to overpay. You just need to know where to look.
And more importantly, you need to know where not to waste your money. Because the truth is, the best shelf in bourbon is usually the one nobody's chasing.
Right. Today, we're talking about the real shelf. No hype, no scarcity, no excuses. These are the best bottles under $50 you can actually walk in and buy.
And they deliver. So stay tuned right here
In the lounge with Stave and Slide.
Let's kick things off here in the lounge, talking about the best bourbons that you can get under $50 with Evan Williams Bottled and Bond.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say it right now. This is still one of the most ridiculous values in the entire bourbon world.
Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. It's almost too good for what it costs. You get this fantastic nuttiness, cocoa, and a real oak structure that you just don't expect for something in this price range. Or it's, under $20, essentially.
Yeah. Absolutely. You get that Bottled and Bond punch. It's produced by Heaven Hill, so it's sitting right there at that 100 proof using their standard mash bill, 78% corn, 10% rye, 12% malted barley.
Yeah, right. So it gives you a little bit more bite, but it gives you more complexity, especially compared to the standard black label. Mm-hmm. People kind of like to qualify anything from Evan Williams, really, but especially the Bottled and Bond, that they'll say, it's good for the money.
Right.
It's just good, period. It's just good. And it sets, I think, an incredibly high floor for the rest of the episode.
100%. So speaking of punching above its weight, like the Evan Williams, let's talk about Old Granddad 114.
Yeah.
This is where we turn the volume way up.
Yeah, this is a high rye, high proof monster. You get cinnamon, baking spice, and a lot of heat, but in a really good way. This bourbon doesn't hide.
No. So it does that in the best way possible, right? So here's some details on the 114. This guy is distilled over at Jim Beam using their high rye mash bill, 27% rye. That's the same recipe that they use for Basil Hayden.
Exactly, but instead of watering it down to 80 proof.
Yeah, which is like the lowest legal limit to be bourbon.
That's as low as you can go, yeah.
Yeah.
They leave it at 114 and put it in the bottle. It's the ultimate cocktail bourbon.
Yes.
It cuts through the mixers, but it still drinks incredibly well as a neat pour. But I think it's just a pure power package at this price point.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. 114 is one of my favorites for cocktails. It's one of my favorites in an old fashioned, especially with that high rye content. It holds up so well. Just love using it in cocktails. Next up, we have probably one of the most overlooked standard bottles on the shelf, and that's Old Forester 100.
Yeah. So people walk right past this every day because it's always there. They confuse availability with lack of quality. But it's quintessential Old Forester. You get brown sugar, you get a little bit of cherry, you get a little bit of oak, you get some of these other dark fruits. But like with any other Old Forester product, you get that kind of banana funk.
Yep.
That everybody's so fond of.
Yeah, that banana note.
Yeah.
It really is the quintessential everyday bourbon. Uses their standard mash bill of 72% corn, 18% rye, 10% malted barley.
And because Brown-Forman heat cycles their warehouses, they force that whiskey deep into the wood. And that 100 proof point is just the sweet spot. It gives you a great balance of sweetness and spice without any hype, no noise, just consistency.
Yep. And speaking of consistency, let's talk about the return of a legend, Wild Turkey 101 8-year.
Yeah. So for the longest time, The 8-year age statement on 101 was an export-only bottle that bourbon nerds would hunt down in Japan or in travel retail.
Yep.
Having it back domestically is a huge win.
I love it. 101 period is fantastic, but getting that 8-year just is so great.
Yep.
It's their classic 75% corn, 13% rye mash bill, but that guaranteed 8 years in the barrel rounds off all the sharp edges. And nothing wrong with 101, but just smoothing it out a little bit just improves it and takes it up to that next level. You get that signature turkey spice and funk, but layered with deep leather, oak, and dark cherry. It's so good.
Yeah, and at 101 proof, it's practically the perfect bourbon.
I would have to agree.
Of course, it proves, not that they needed to prove it, more than they already have, but it proves that Wild Turkey doesn't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to let it age.
There you go. They just put great juice out of Wild Turkey. Now, if you want something that feels a bit more premium, you have to look at Four Roses Single Barrel.
Yeah, this is a massive step up in elegance. It's very fruit forward with notes of like apricot and baking spices, and this kind of a real distinct floral quality to it. But it drinks way more expensive than it actually is.
I agree. It's like one of those bourbons that you can like. You feel like it's more premium than it is, right? Mm-hmm. A big part of that comes from the recipe that they use. Every standard bottle of Four Roses Single Barrel uses that OBSV recipe.
Yeah. So and breaking that code down tells you exactly why it drinks so well. It means their it uses their high rye mash bill, which has a whopping I think 35%. Rye, paired with a delicate fruit yeast strain.
Yep, and because it's a single barrel bottled at 100 proof, those rich, spicy flavors, they really shine through without being overpowered by the alcohol. And this is a bottle that you could take to a party if you want to look like bourbon and contribute something, but you're on a budget.
Right? Yeah, I totally agree. So let's talk about age statements.
Yep.
With Knob Creek 9-year.
It's a great one.
Yeah. So we mentioned this before in our last video, but we didn't have it on hand.
Yeah, we had the single barrel.
Correct. This is real verified age that you can actually walk into the store and buy.
At a great price point.
At a great price point, yeah.
And I think that matters. Like, that's a big deal because people chase age statements. They're looking for it. When you see that number on a bottle, it means something to the consumer because it tells you how long it's been sitting in the barrel. They're constantly chasing it on the secondary market, looking for it. And meanwhile, this 9-year from Knob Creek is just sitting right there in plain sight.
Yeah, you get the classic bean profile, right? The roasted peanut, the deep oak, kind of a rich caramel flavor. But because it spent nearly a decade in the barrel, it has this incredible weight and depth.
Yep, 100%. It's using that Beam traditional low rye mash bill, 77% corn, 13% rye, and it's at that 10% malted barley. And it's bottled at 100 proof, and it proves that accessible age is severely overlooked a lot of times.
Yeah, as we're learning with each bottle here.
Yep.
So now for wheated bourbon fans, Maker's Mark is probably the most recognizable bourbon on the shelf.
Yep, the
in
bottle.
general, just with the red dripping wax and everything. But Maker's Mark cask strength is where wheated bourbon actually shows up and demands your attention.
For sure.
Yeah.
We don't have the bottle with us right now. I think I finished off the last one that I had because it's so good. But once you get to that cask strength of Maker's Mark, that's where it's really able to shine.
Yeah.
And come through at that cask strength proof. Standard Maker's Mark is known for being very soft and approachable, but at that cask strength, it becomes richer, fuller, and incredibly warm. You still get that signature sweet wheat profile, but that cask strength gives it a real backbone.
Yeah, this is what people think they're getting when they spend hundreds of dollars on a bottle of Weller.
Which we talked about in our last episode, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same 70% corn, 16% wheat recipe as standard Maker's Mark, but it's bottled uncut.
Yep. And usually that lands somewhere between 108 and 114 proof. And it's just a massive, full-bodied flavor bomb and proof that wheated bourbon needs to really shine.
Yeah. And if you want a high proof without the secondary market hassle, you should also be looking at Green River.
Green River full proof.
Is unfortunately another bottle we don't have on hand.
Yep. Yeah, so Green River full proof, they're doing that one down in Owensboro, Kentucky. They're putting out some of the best value in whiskey right now. Their full proof uses 21% rye mash bill, and they're bottling it straight from the barrel, usually landing around 117 to 119 proof.
Yeah, it's got an incredibly viscous mouthfeel to it. Again, dark brown sugar, baking chocolate, some dark fruit maybe, but it drinks like a $70 bottle. You can find it well under 50.
Yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head what I picked mine up for, but that's a total sleeper.
Yep, for sure. Now I have to throw a spotlight on a bottle that you might not know unless you're here here locally in the Dayton, Ohio area, and that is Andy's number 5, and that comes from Indian Creek Distillery.
Yeah, this is a true historic craft whiskey. Indian Creek is operating down in New Carlisle, Ohio, using original copper stills from the 1820s.
Yep. It's a tribute to Elias Staley's original recipe. It gives you this incredibly unique early American flavor profile. You get sweet grain, floral notes, and a really rustic spice that you just don't find in modern column still bourbons. Indian Creek, these guys are doing it right. You'll see craft on a lot of different labels of different bourbons. A lot of that's marketing. A lot of that is is just putting something on a label. But these guys are true craft distillers, and they're putting out great bourbon, and it's a testament to what they're doing, that you can get some really good juice out of there at a great price point.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite of like massive corporate distilleries, right?
100%.
It's living history in a glass, and it easily earns its spot on the shelf. Now, we've said all that. The point of us including this particular bottle on the shelf, while this is a great bottle and we love the distillery, isn't necessarily to say go get this bottle or come to Ohio and find this distillery. Although
you should because it's a great place to visit.
It's really just to say when you're out looking for quality bourbons, don't overlook your local distilleries, or maybe you don't have something locally in town, but probably every state within a short drive you're going to find a local distillery that's struggling to get their product out out there and known, out on the shelves, what have you. I think Andy's old number 5. I think Indian Creek. I don't even know if you can get it anywhere but at the distillery here.
Yeah,
but there may be a few stores locally that pick it up.
I'm not sure.
So just you can find some great quality products from your local distilleries.
Yeah, a lot of local distilleries are doing a lot of single barrel, a lot of foolproof things that may come in above our price point that we're talking about today. But most of them are probably putting out a small batch or standard bourbon that should come in at this price point. So definitely check them out because they deserve your business. Because as we talked about in our last episode with the bourbon boom, there were a lot of places opened up, and a lot of them are struggling to keep their doors open with trends that are changing in current times. Yep. So all right, now that's going to take us back to a certified classic with Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond.
Yeah, this is the 7-year age statement bottle that replaced the 6-year green label, which caused an uproar with a little price jump, but it's still under $50 and completely justifies its place on the shelf, in my opinion.
I agree. Absolutely. It uses that classic Heaven Hill mash bill. 78% corn, 10% rye, 12% malted barley, and it sits right at that 100 proof bottled and bond sweet spot, which we love, the bottled and bond.
Yeah, it's basically the older brother, the refined sibling to Evan Williams bottled and bond. You still get the rich caramel, the warm vanilla, all those kind of notes that you pick up here, but maybe a little more predominant in the bottle and bond. But it comes from a 7-year barrel.
Yep, it's quintessential Kentucky bourbon. it hits that profile, right? It doesn't try to be flashy. It just delivers an incredibly solid traditional pour every single time.
Yeah. Well, all right. So let's do some rapid fire quick picks off of the table here.
Okay.
If you could only have one bottle for an everyday sipper.
Ooh, I'm going to do Old Forester 100 without a doubt.
Okay.
Let's go best bang for your buck.
Evan Williams Bottle and Bond.
Yeah, that was an easy one.
Yeah. What if you need to class it up a little bit on a budget?
I'm doing 4 rows of single barrel.
Okay.
It looks and it tastes premium.
I could agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this under $50 shelf is the one people skip every day, and they really shouldn't.
I agree.
This is where the real value lives.
This is where the everyday bourbon drinker should probably be spending their money, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So we've gone over like 10, I think, really solid bourbons here that you can get for under $50. These are ones that aren't going to bust the bank. These are solid drinkers. They're great. There's some that are great for cocktails. Some that are great to just pour in the glass. These are ones that you absolutely should look at putting on your shelf. Solid additions. Again, this is not an all-inclusive list. No. There's other ones that we could put on here, that would absolutely fit this profile. But these are some that we just really thought would fit, this category that you should definitely consider. So check these out if you haven't already. And next up, we're gonna test price. So we've gone under the $50 threshold, and so now we're gonna do a little bit of comparison. We're gonna put the mid-tier bottles up against the top shelf in a blind tasting showdown.
Yep, I'm looking forward to that.
Yep.
It should be a good time. Now, before we go, just a reminder from both of us that good whiskey is about the experience and not the volume.
So take your time, respect the proof, and sip responsibly. Cheers from Stave and Slide.